Hey guys, and welcome to another East Coast Rams podcast. I'm your co-host here, Ashton, with my awesome co-host Zach. First off, guys, while we're live streaming, if you want to comment in the YouTube chat, any questions, you guys want to put in what you took away from the preseason game, feel free. Or if you're watching on X, please feel free to comment on that. We'll be monitoring that live stream post on X, and we'll take your questions if you have any. How you doing, Zach? Finally starting to get hot here up in Virginia. How's it in Indiana? And we finally had an entertaining preseason game. Who knew?
It's a surprise. Usually, it's a struggle to win one of our preseason games. But no, it's been really good. I've been doing a lot of traveling over the last couple weeks, but Indiana's doing great, and I'm excited that we're now posting on YouTube and X. So great that we're kind of expanding the horizon a little bit. But yeah, I'm ready to talk some Rams, ready to talk some football. Finally, we're able to talk about real life football. Granted, it is preseason. We don't see the starters, but it is still football. And honestly, they played some meaningful football. We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't the typical 9-10 preseason affair where we're on the losing side. A lot of things to talk about with it. So I guess first off, do you want to go over news or just jump straight into preseason?
Yeah, let's just jump into the preseason. I think we'll touch on the news while we do that, and then we'll talk about Stafford kind of towards the end. So if you're ready to talk about Stafford's back drama, be ready. We will talk about it. But first, let's talk about the win against the Dallas Cowboys in our home stadium, which again probably didn't quite feel like a home stadium because there was a lot of Dallas in SoFi. But the Rams did win 31-21. I mean, it felt pretty electric. I mean, the first quarter holding the Dallas Cowboys, again, noting that it is their backups as well, but backups versus backups, and we still hold them to 1 yard in the entire first quarter. That's just pretty remarkable. So very, very kudos to our defense. I think both sides played really electric, especially in that first half.
No, definitely. I'll just say the Rams, their depth is very, very impressive this year. And me and you, we say it like it is. We normally talk about this game, these preseason games, and we're always like, we struggle to find one or two players that kind of, uh, talk positively of, let alone the entire team having, like, from top to bottom. O line was showing out at points, D line was showing out points. Their points secondary was doing good. And Zach, I'm the resident Bennett fan club person. You want to say it was getting very lonely in that fan club. He definitely has had his growing pains and his mistakes. But this game, he showed why he got drafted. Now, whether or not he got drafted high or anything, we'll see if he can continue improving. But Bennett, he was making NFL starter level throws. I mean, that's just
Yeah,
fact.
I mean, he was probably one of the best quarterbacks that we have seen, not a starter who played in the preseason this entire
By
week.
far. Yeah, by
Yeah, I
far.
mean, he was very impressive. I mean, when you kind of look at his stats, um, you compare what he did to what Milton did on the Dallas side. It was kind of, I mean, it seemed almost even when you're looking at 17 for 29 for Milton. Bennett was 16 for 24. Bennett had 188 yards. Milton had 143 yards. The bonus was that Stenton had 2 touchdowns compared to Milton's 1 touchdown. But it just seemed like Bennett was in complete control, basically from the start to when he was pulled at the towards the end for dress or win. So, especially when we're getting to the Stafford conversation, it's really great to see that Bennett has grown so much over these last 2 seasons. Really when season 1, he was MIA. And then season 2, obviously we didn't really see much of him except during the preseason.
He was a rookie basically last year. If you look at it that way, he was a rookie, a very raw rookie. He comes in, has a solid game 1 last year, but really struggles every other game. And this year, you just see a other level of play, like to the point where Zach, I would say half of his incompletions were drops, just blatant drops. He had 2 beautiful deep balls, one he connected on, and one it seemed like either Mumfield ran the wrong route or I don't know exactly what happened there. It could have been an overthrow by a little bit. And then the interception wasn't really his fault. That was a good ball. Mumfield
It was
just
the good ball, and that was another Memfield one, I think, wasn't it?
yeah, it was Mumfield.
Which that was a 50-50 ball. I mean, really, if that was either, Puka Nacua or Devontae Adams, really like, a star wide receiver, I think that was a no-brainer. Or even Tutu Atwell, I think they would have been able to secure that ball away from the defender. Again, it's these rookies trying to learn their ground, but again, seeing a lot of improvement from what we've seen in the past. The depth is great. This offense, even with the backup, seemed to be clicking. And that's what we want to see. We want to see this depth because as we get into the season, we may have to rely on some of these players to come fill in these important spots.
Yeah, and let's give shout out to some of the O linemen. Willie Lampkin had himself a day, man. He was really electric, definitely a good standout. Looking further down, was there any other O linemen that kind of impressed you with their plays at?
I mean, learning all of the offensive linemen, the backups and stuff like that, it's really hard to keep track of every single one of them. Obviously we're going to continue to see how the center game kind of plays out. I'm still, I don't know. I'm still very, Bo Limmer, I think he did really well for us last year. We want to see him to grow. And hopefully he continues to grow throughout this preseason because he will be the preseason starter right now. So just want to continue to see his growth. But otherwise, I think they did an admirable job.
Yeah, the only O lineman that I noticed was actively struggling was AJ Akari, especially on left side. And then they swapped him on the right, and he was doing a good amount better. Again, that was later against the third, fourth stringers of the Cowboys, so that could have played a role into it too. But Akari, he was really having a hard time. Everyone else I thought was doing a great job.
Yeah, I think Leviston, he had an issue. He had a holding call against him. So, anytime you have something that kind of either would kill a drive or something like that, I think, kind of knocks you down a little bit as we're going into the season. So, but I was very impressed with kind of how this B squad actually played. And it's not even really all the B squad people. It's a lot of the, C squad when you come, when you think about Bennett and things like that. So,
we don't start second stringers. It's first and second stringers that don't play unless if they're rookies and they need snaps. That's the only exception there.
Yeah. I mean, Whittington didn't play. Ferguson didn't play.
Fergus hurt. So that's right.
I don't think he was going to play anyways. But let's talk about the running backs a little bit because I think this was another group where I think there was a lot of it was impressive. A lot of minds were kind of blown by the now what seems to be depth we have in that running back room. Obviously, last Tuesday, Kyren Williams got his extension. For 3 years, $33 million, 23 of it is guaranteed. So kudos to him for getting his bag. Again, me and you differ on, should he or shouldn't he have gotten this? But I don't think it's out of what he received was not exorbitant amount of money. So I do think that it's something that was well deserved for him. And I think he's continuing to show up. continuing to lead that RB room. He doesn't cause drama. And he just brings that high energy presence that I think that you need, especially building out. But then you look at what happened this past week in this game, and you're like, who are you going to cut? I mean, you look at the stats and you saw who had explosive runs and things like that, and you're like, could we keep 4 or 5 running backs? That's very doubtful. But everyone seems to found some sort of niche this past week in this game.
Yeah, first touching on Kyron, I will say I'm not upset or angry he got this number. It's nothing like that. I just disagree with the specific amount. I wish it would have been more around 9 mil personally, but he deserves a second contract. Congrats to him and his family. He definitely earned it. He's worked hard. Is he a perfect back? Is he elite? No. And he definitely has stuff to improve on. It looks like he's gotten a little bit bigger in the offseason. And I hope year 3 of him being an active starter, we can kind of see a jump in quality from him, especially outside the red zone. And I think that's where we've been lacking. And Hunter has kind of shown going into the depth pieces. Hunter has definitely shown that we could possibly have that kind of game-breaking back right there to spell Kyron if the Rams choose to use him, because, McVay likes a single back. Corum looks like a clone. I can't complain. He's really good at those quick cuts, finding the hole, and just snaking his way. And then Zach, let's talk about probably the best player in this preseason game, Cody Schrader. He was just a monster. He came out of nowhere.
5 carries, 59 yards, 11.8 yards per carry. His longest was 25. When the Rams have been looking over the last several years, they've been wanting explosiveness. They wanted somebody in the RB field who could be explosive.
Yeah.
And again, this was, a lot of his play came in the second half. Again, they're not playing against first team defenses, but this is something that you want to keep your eye on. You want to keep and see if he can keep this momentum going for week 2 and week 3 of the preseason games. If he can keep this momentum continuing, I think this is jeopardy for Ronnie Rivers to lose his job. I really do see that coming down the line if this is the case.
I mean, to be honest, he probably already did, just by the fact no one's going to claim Ronnie Rivers if we cut him.
Sure.
People will claim Cody Schrader.
For sure.
It's just pretty clear, especially if he keeps on playing like this. And I hope they kind of lessen eventually, like Corum and Hunter snaps, and give him a little bit more opportunity to shine. Because
I don't know if you will. How can you do that when now you have Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, you have Hunter, and now you're saying Cody Schrader? That's 4 backs that you're trying to fill a hole in. Someone's job is going to lose. So is he really going to play a whole lot? I think we can keep 4 backs. But are you going to play 4 backs?
I mean, we always designate 5 people not to play anyways. He would just be one of them, unless someone gets hurt.
But that's my
point.
He
was last year.
Like I said, it was like you want him to be able to play. When last year we're looking at Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, and Ronnie Rivers. Now we're adding on additional players. You're adding 2 more players that have really good potential.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good problem to have.
It is. It's a great problem to have. It's gonna be tough when you're making those final 53. Obviously someone can play on the special teams roles and stuff like that to keep roster slots available. But that's the one challenge that you have is like, you don't want to lose Cody Schrader to an opponent, especially if he continues the way he has.
Schrader returned to kick in the Eagles game in playoffs, right? Yeah. So he could definitely be a special teams contributor and a really good depth running back piece. But again, the depth in every position group in this roster is very impressive for any Sean McVay team. It's probably the deepest. It doesn't mean they're the best overall in every position group, but it definitely, like, you have quality from the lowest starter to the highest.
Yeah. I will say probably the strangest thing of the night was just watching to see somebody else in number 10. That was kind of weird, just seeing him flying all over the field, and it wasn't Cooper Kupp.
Was it Stoops? I think Stoops was 10.
No, Covey.
Oh, was it Schrader? Okay.
Yeah. No, Britton Covey.
Oh, Covey.
Covey.
I don't know how
Covey,
you pronounce it. Yeah, he doesn't look like he's beating X. You want to talk about the wide receivers, bringing up X?
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the wide receivers a little bit. We got Xavier Smith. He came in at the top with 3 receptions, 55 yards, averaging 18.3. Obviously, we had a number of them. Each person only had really 2 receptions, but they were pretty decent. I mean, we're averaging for, what was it? 4 of them were over 12 yards per attempt. And then the other ones were somewhere above, 8.5, 9 yards per attempt. So, Bennett was slinging the balls all over the place and sharing the ball with everybody, getting 2 touchdowns, one with Presley, and then one was also with Schrader as well. So, I'm just impressed by this offense. Even the CD team offense. That's something that we want to see, and hopefully that continues moving down the pipe in the regular season.
Yeah, you definitely saw like aggressiveness we haven't seen in a while, especially in preseason. Let alone sometimes in regular season, we've been always the finesse team, the kind of like scheming people open, and haven't been a overly physical team. They were overly physical last preseason game, and like you see Willie Lampkin pancaking fools all around the field. You see our linebackers thumping people, safeties just getting at it. It quite impressive. Do you want to talk about defense? Because there's a lot of good defense going on.
Yes. Before we talk about the defense, I do think that everyone should make sure that you go and like and subscribe this video, number 1. But make sure you follow us on all the social media channels. Find us on X at East Coast Rams. You can find us at YouTube, youtube.com/at East Coast Rams. We're also on Instagram, Threads at East Coast Rams Pod. And then if you're on Blue Sky as well, we are there too. So please make sure that you are liking, subscribing, chat with us while we're having this conversation. And yeah, make sure you leave us a comment too. It would be amazing if you guys could do that. All right. Let's talk about the defense. Break it down for me. I mean, like I said, first quarter only allowing 1 yard.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Just slightly good. So it basically, the Rams for the entire first half were just stifling Milton. He was just throwing what looked like lasers into the ground at no one. Just couldn't keep it together. He was constantly pressured. I would say that was the biggest thing, was the inability to break to the pocket. It was kind of like similar to the early part of the regular season last year, where we could get pressure easily. We just couldn't bring down the quarterback. Couldn't get sacks. But either way, we were able to like gobble up a lot of their runs. The run defense, chef's kiss, Zach. Until the fourth quarter, chef's kiss. Sure. They couldn't do anything for a majority of the game run-wise.
And that's what we wanted to. That's what we wanted. We wanted to see our Rams. And again, we're preseason. Counter that. But we wanted to see the schemes. We wanted to see what the coaches can come up with, even with, not your starters, to see how we can constrain and contain that run game. And they did. They were very impressive. And I couldn't be more excited to see what this team can do for this defense.
Yeah, Josiah Stewart was having a good game, ended up with a sack. Ty Hamilton struggled a little bit. He was really good on run defense, but he he wasn't moving on double teams and on single reps, pass rush wise. It looked like he kept on trying to bull rush and just couldn't win at all.
Mm-hmm.
So Ty Hamilton struggled a little bit in his first game. Chris Paul, who looked fantastic, was running around. I thought Tony Fields had a good day. Sean Dolak, electric. If you guys haven't watched the Mic'd Up with Sean Dolak, and I think it's Montfield, really good. That guy's energy is electric.
So
And
I want to talk about that. Can we talk about that real quick?
Yeah, it's going to be a crime if a certain linebacker who's been on the team forever gets on the roster over him.
That's kind of what I wanted to bring up. Let's talk about the inside linebacker position, because again, for us, this has been the biggest need and need for improvement over the last several years, especially when you move on from someone like Ernest Jones and things like that. So right now, Omar Spites and Nate Landum both sat out for this one. You know, clearly those are kind of two locks for the 53-man roster. But so did Troy Reeder. Troy Reeder also got the night off. Again, he is a veteran on the team, but is this a sign that he is safe? He is on the 53-man roster, because again, then you're looking at players like Dolak, and what could this mean for that spot? What do you think?
I mean, Zach, it's one of those things where there's death, taxes, and Troy Reeder on our favorite football team. And for some reason, that blackmail still hasn't gone through. Whatever check he's been forcing the GM to write just keeps on cashing.
There has to be
know.
something about him. There has to be something about him that makes him desirable for this team, whether it's the culture that he brings in, the leadership that he brings in as far as the defensive side goes. There has to be something, because it's not necessarily what he always brings on the field.
He has been in the system for so long. I know he knows these plays. He knows the defense. He knows the staff. He is comfortable for this coaching staff in the sense that they can expect him to have the most baseline level of execution of the defense you can have. It's not great execution, Zach. He'll be in the spot somewhat. He'll be around the area he should be. He just won't ever make a play. Unless if it's like run and straight to him. Like, he has redeeming factors, but there's just better options. There's better darts you can throw. And I feel like you put him on practice squad, he's not going to get picked up by anyone.
Yeah, because I mean,
that's
you also
a personal opinion.
You don't want to forget about, I mean, you can't forget about Chris Paul too. So, you know, we're very now looking at either Reeder or Dolak, and again, we'll see how these next 2 games play out, and if Dolak continues to improve, you may see Troy Reeder have to play a game to figure out if he's going to be locked in that future spot. Cornerback position. What are your thoughts in the cornerback room?
Well, besides Robert Rochelle getting beat by Montfield for a deep ball, bringing up a name there. This cornerback group, solid time. Let's see. Emmanuel Forbes didn't play. Cam Lampkin had a really good game. Good game by him. Let's see. I think they played Nate Val kind of in a star position, or he might have been rotating. Guys, I was live streaming during the game, so my ability to specifically watch each player a little limited. I tried best that I could during the stream.
So Darius Williams, Kobe Durant, Ahkello Witherspoon, and Forbes, those are all locks. They're going to be on the 53-man roster. But then let's go talk about some of the other players. Darion Kendrick, Josh Wallace, Cam Langton,
Did Durant play?
Charles Woods.
He
Let me
might have
double
played in
check.
the first 2 drives. I don't remember. I don't remember seeing him.
Yeah, I don't quite remember. I mean, he's one of those spots that I think that you can't. I don't know. I think that his role is not guaranteed.
Darian was on in the 4th quarter. Not good for him. Not a good sign. Unless that they're just trying to get him reps before getting injured. I heard someone say that. I think that was on Rams Talk Radio. That would kind of make sense, but
Yeah, he made one tackle and 1 assist.
It's typically not a good sign on a Sean McVay team if you're playing in the 4th quarter of a preseason
especially if you've been there for multiple years.
Yes.
Like if you played last year and you are now playing in a preseason game, or the last 2 years and you're on a preseason game, that doesn't always bear well for you for the future. Yeah. Unless you are actively playing as a backup role, like the offensive lineman or things like that.
Yeah, sometimes they rotate in AJ Green or Sean Jolly in the cornerback slot.
They looked all right. I mean, I wouldn't consider them out of competition.
Fine. Safeties looked really good. Josh Wallace all over the field. Charles Woods. Yeah, and I think Ingle was playing at safety too. Didn't see him make a lot of plays. Safety group did good. Got an interception there out of the star. So yeah, might have been star.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what the coaches are cooking up for this defense when we see Jared Verse, Byron Young, Kobe Turner. Like, I want to see what they really got. Poona Ford. Like, I'm now very excited to see what they can draw up when they have all hands on deck.
Yeah, the defense for the most part looked very vanilla. I get doing that. It was weird because the offense, Zach, had a little sauce. They were putting some saucy plays in there. Like they had like a really quick handoff jet sweep that I think we saw Puka use a few times. So I think they might have given that to Mumpfield and then Schrader. Schrader might have done that. I can't remember specifically.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the PFF scores, the people who were in the bottom for the defense were Sean Jolly, Dejon Terry, Nick Hampton, Ty Hamilton, and Decarius Hawthorne. Those were the 5 lowest on the defensive side of the ball when it came to their PFF grade. So we'll kind of see how that plays out.
Yeah, it was actually entertaining because, Zach, at the beginning of my stream, I said I was looking forward to a nice Rams preseason game of 12-11, hard-nosed, bad execution, bad throws all over the place, poorly attempted screens, where Bennett had one bad check down in this game that was, he said it just slipped, and he moved on to the next play, so... But outside of that, it was an entertaining game, which me and you not used to with this team
in the preseason. Yeah. But again, it just gets me more and more excited for this team. Yeah, so super excited. Game was fun. We'll do this. We'll do a. I don't know. Are you live streaming this week's game?
I will see. It was a lot of hard work. So the people who do it as a full-time job, you deserve every penny, because I love just sitting back and enjoying and watching specific players every drive. That's how I enjoy watching the games. Typically, I take notes sometimes, especially because we do podcasts. I wasn't able to do any of that. I was like trying to manage the system by myself on top of watching the game, giving live commentary, and trying to answer questions. So it was definitely fun. I appreciate everyone who jumped on and watched us, and I hope it was entertaining at least, because sometimes especially preseason telecast can be a little dry. JB Long is fantastic, and I
Yeah, I
think
love
they
listening to
had
him.
Michael Brockers too.
He was on in the third quarter, so they kind of did
Third
like
quarter. Okay.
yeah, he was the third quarter commentary. MJD was the one who was kind of the third man up for most of the other spots. But love JB Long. I almost had to say that I did watch the live broadcast for the second half, not your stream version, but I did go back and look at it after the fact, and you did a great job. So make sure that if you want to keep watching those live streams, Ashton will be there hopefully in the future. So keep an eye on that.
I'll probably do it every so often, mix in, because I like just enjoying this team play and taking it in and getting angry at stupid calls, being happy when we made a big chunk play. So we'll do it every so often. It was definitely a lot of fun. In preseason, way more chill, can just sit back, and I don't care if I miss a name every so often. We try to take this stuff seriously for you guys. We pour our hearts for you guys.
All right, so we're gonna go to a new topic. We're gonna talk about Stafford because he's big in the news right now. Hold on, before you start breaking your back, I do want to make a shout out. We are fans of the Rams, and we love wearing our Rams jerseys. We love wearing our Rams gear. But there are some places that you can't find high quality Rams gear for an inexpensive price. Usually, you go to the Rams website and it's great stuff, but it's sometimes a little expensive. I just want to share what I'm rocking. I'm rocking the old St. Louis Greatest Rams on Turf shirt right now from our boy Vince at Amaze Them Pins. I've been a customer of his for like 4 years now. I just like to point out some of those creators who consistently make great Rams gear for a really affordable price compared to what some of the other sellers at the big box stores and stuff like that sell. So make sure you check out Vince. Make sure you check out any Rams content creator, whether it's another podcast, whether it's someone who makes pins or shirts or hats or whatever. Please make sure you give them some love, because again, we're all trying to make one big community for that. So, but let's talk about the biggest news of the week, and that is Matthew Stafford. You look like you're in some pain. Are you in some pain after all this news that you have to be reading? Been hunching over the computer a little bit?
Yeah, apparently Stafford's been carrying the team a little bit too much, Zach, because
literally he's been carrying the team on the back since he arrived in LA.
Apparently, and he got them drugs. It doesn't seem like the drugs are working, Zach, because he hasn't practiced.
He hasn't practiced in over a month, it seems like.
Okay, so wait. What's your nervousness level, Zach? Because I know you were in the camp of don't worry, don't care, not a big deal. You're starting to get nervous now, aren't you?
I am getting nervous. Okay, so when you watch this podcast, this is a yin and yang podcast. One of us is usually always the optimist. One of us is usually always the pessimist. Just happens all the time. And, I'm not going to name names of who's the optimist and who's the pessimist. We're not going to call anybody out here. But what I do want to talk about is, yes, I am now worried. This was a thing where it was like, he has some soreness, he'll be back in a day or two, no big deal. Then it was, oh, I misspoke. He's actually going to be out for a week. Then it becomes 2 weeks. And I don't know. It's now it's like, we don't know when he's going to practice. We're just going to take this day by day. Last week, he apparently was practicing on Saturday. It had a good day. Sunday, no problems. He should be here on Monday. Monday, he's not practicing. Tuesday, he's not practicing. We don't know if he's going to be ready for week 1. It's just a few weeks away. I am nervous. I also have tickets to see him week 2 in Tennessee. I didn't come to see Jimmy G, which I have grown on Jimmy G. If he is our backup quarterback, I will support him 100,000%. But I want to see Matthew Stafford.
Okay, so multiple things to break down there. First
Sorry.
off, Zach, I have us winning more games than you do this year. Just pointing that out. I was also...
There's also someone who is realistic and so... No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Also, let's just point out, I typically will say with the Rams and health-related issues, the point of view that they will always err on the side of being vague, if not slightly misleading, has been proven true multiple times over and over. And I don't know how many times this fan base has to go through this to learn they're just not going to tell you what's going on. And no matter how many questions you ask, they're not going to tell the insiders what's going on.
I will say, I think this is the first time, and I agree with you. I agree with your points 100%. I think the Rams do tend to cover things up. I really don't know if McVay actually knows what's happening. I think he is being fed information that he believes is accurate when he is talking to these reporters. Again, if I go back and rewatch it from years past, I can see exactly where you're coming from. I genuinely don't know if Sean McVay knows if Stafford's going to practice the day before. You put that on there, I get it, but I'm telling you right now, I do not think Stafford or McVay knows what's happening.
Okay. In all fairness to you, that might be the case. We won't ever know. It's like Gurley's knee. It's Stafford's elbow. We don't really know what they know when they do, how truthful they're being. Put that to the side because we won't ever know. When it comes to Stafford in a situation here, of course, I don't want him practicing if he's not ready to go. It doesn't
100%.
do you any good, and you risk him getting injured. And even if he's out a week or two, it's better than rushing him back and just having your 37-year-old quarterback just murdered in the pocket. Right. That being said, y'all, there's like 80% of this fan base that has been talking ill, I'll put without any other words, talking ill of Jimmy G. Y'all need to not change your tune now. Don't get me wrong. Jimmy G is a solid backup quarterback. A lot of things have to go right if he's starting the entire season for us to make a playoff run. That's just frank. We have to have a top 5 defense, and he has to keep the wheels from falling off on this offense. I think the offense can be okay with him, but it won't be elite. And that's just the difference. And you guys have to acknowledge that.
I disagree. I completely disagree. I think you give Jimmy G the weapons, he is going to be the best option you have. I think he's going to be better than trying to bring in Kirk Cousins. I think he's better than trying to bring somebody else on the roster. He is going to be your best bet outside of Matthew Stafford for this team, without getting someone who's currently an active first, starter quarterback.
I'm sorry, Zach, but the dude chokes more than a grandma that chain smokes.
Hey, maybe it's just because he was with the 49ers. The 49ers are the choke gang. So it could be the curse of the 49ers. Like, and anybody who's watched this podcast should know that I have been anti Jimmy G when he came here. But I am for this man to bring us to another Super Bowl.
You know what, Zach?
I'm gonna go back and watch when he. I'm gonna go back and watch the first video when he has announced that he was going to be on here and be like, "This is a sad day for Rams football." Is probably what I said, something like that. But I've seen Jimmy G. I've seen him in action. Again, I think that I gave him a bad rep because he was a 49er. Let's give him a shot. If Stafford is indeed injured and cannot play, In Jimmy G, I trust, apparently.
I'll just say
Again, we'll not say who's optimistic and who's pessimistic. Not saying who
at
who
the
is.
end of the year, if Jimmy G is holding a Lombardi, I will happily come on this podcast and eat crow and say I was wrong. I think it's more likely he throws a pick six in every playoff game than holds that Lombardi, personally.
If we have the defense that we have, if we have the defense that we truly anticipate going to be as good as it can be,
yeah,
and we have Devontae Adams, and you have Puka Nacua, and then you fill in all of our other pieces, whether it's Tutu Atwell, Jordan Whittington, Mumfield, like you throw in all these other, really good things. You have Kyron Williams, you have Blake Corum, you now have Hunter or, Schrader. You have all those players now. I think that Jimmy G can take you over the hump. I don't know if any other backup quarterback could, but I do think Jimmy G has that experience, from his time. I really do think that he's been in these situations before. He has been able to, at least take somebody to a Super Bowl. Can't win a Super Bowl, but can take them there. I want to say, I hope Stafford gets well. I want him to be our QB1, but I am going to trust in what Jimmy G can do. He has an arm. He has a good mindset to it. I'm not going to poo-poo on him or try to go find another QB out there or put Stetson Bennett in when I know Jimmy G is probably our best option.
I'm not saying he isn't a good option. I'm just saying I personally think the fan base should have certain expectations, and we'll see how the Rams come out if he ends up starting.
100%. But do you think there's another quarterback that you would get right now instead of if Stafford cannot play week one?
I wouldn't say
are you going out and spending capital to go grab another backup quarterback?
If he goes on IR, yes.
Well, not IR. I'm not saying IR. I'm saying if he can't play week
if he's
one.
Not, then no. No, I'm not saying Jimmy G isn't the best. He is one of the best backup quarterbacks. He is a solid backup quarterback. But for 17
who are you
games,
going to get?
That's different.
Who are you going to get? If Stafford goes on IR and we have Jimmy G and Stetson Bennett, who are you going to go pick up? And what capital are you going to pay?
The guy from Falcons, Kirk Cousins. Yeah, Kirk
Cousins. So are you going to give something good to get Kirk Cousins?
The Falcons ain't going to get anything good for Kirk Cousins. He's washed. I wouldn't start him over Jimmy G. I would maybe let him but that's a hypothetical, and we're not in that situation, right?
But we're talking about hypothetically of Matthew Stafford being on IR. So yes, we are typing hypotheticals.
All I'm saying is you literally said he will have all these weapons. He'll have elite defense. That is every 49ers team he was on in the last 3 years of his career, and he couldn't make it happen. Everything had to go right.
He didn't have Puka. He didn't have Puka Nacua or Devontae Adams. He had, he did have Devontae Adams for one point in time, but we're not going to talk about that. Talking about currently right now, though, he didn't have both of them on the same team and on the Rams with Sean McVay leading the helm for that offense. And I think he could take what he learned from the 49ers, learn really he could have gone to another team and probably been a starter. And yet will you put that away? He really did he stayed with the Rams, even though he probably could have gotten a starter spot or maybe made more money as a backup somewhere else and had more of a chance. But he wanted to stick around with the Rams because the Rams have a good culture. And I think that his story is not done yet. And I don't want it to overshadow Stafford because that's who I want as QB1. I want to make sure I'm very clear that if QB1 is not ready for week one, I'm fairly confident, especially with the playing time he's had throughout training camp with Puka and Devontae Adams. I think that it bodes well for the Rams to have Jimmy G at the helm.
So let's lay this out for the listeners very clearly. What's your win? what would you say the average wins for the Rams, what Stafford will be this year? And what's your Jimmy G number? Like, what's the deviation there?
I think you're looking at plus or minus 2 games. And it's always situational. It's on like, because I mean Stafford's been in games where the defense has held. I mean, you look at all of last season and all of the first half of the season, the defense is what kept us in the game most of the time. It wasn't like Stafford did his thing and he's great. Not saying that, but if our defense can keep games under 20 points, I think either it doesn't matter if it's Stafford or Jimmy G. I think that they have a almost equal chance of winning that game. If the defense can keep everything below 20 points, I think you're going to have as good of odds with either one of them at the helm. If you're over 20 points, I think Stafford takes a big jump. But under 20 points, I really think that you're looking at an even playing field when it's coming to, and it may be 21-17, and Stafford could have got 28-17. Like there could be that, but if you're asking me just by win differential, I do think that you're looking more at under 20 points. It's about even. Over 20 points that the defense allows, you're looking at a higher percentage.
So if they both start 17 games with the exact same roster, how many wins do you think Stafford gets this year?
Again, you said we're not talking hypotheticals. Now you want to talk hypotheticals. I'm keeping my answer as is. If the defense can hold any of these teams to under 20 points, I think the record is going to would be about the same.
Where do you think defense will be points per game this year?
I mean, looking at it from last year, I'm really thinking that we could keep teams. There's going to be a few that are going to break the mold. Obviously, the Eagles may break that mold. There are certain teams out there that could do that. But I really think that this defense can keep any team under 20 points. They did a lot of that last year. You look at how much they destroyed the Vikings. You look at how much they destroyed a lot of those teams, like, kept up with the Eagles. I truly believe that this defense has the opportunity. They're definitely a top 10 defense. They could be in that top echelon of top 5, top 3 defenses. But that's currently what's on paper and what we've seen from last year and what the additions that they've added with bringing Puna Ford, Nick Landman, things like that. I think those are what characters could push us into that top 5, top 3 talk.
Yeah. At least for me, I would say if Stafford starts the entire season, I said it before, I think we get 14 wins. I think this is elite offense, top 10, like 9 or 10th in the league average, and then our defense is top 5. I really think that we'll have number 1 D-line in the league, and we'll be I think it's one of the biggest reasons we're going to cook the Texans. Even though Texans have a really good defense and people forget about that, I feel like that front is just going to eat Stroud alive. He's going to struggle a lot. Constant pressure. And Stafford, just when you have to have a play, when you need that ice in the veins, he can win that game. And that's where Jimmy G he can't win you the game. He won't lose you the game like other backup quarterbacks will. He can game manage. I am not denying he can't game manage. That's why I think Jimmy G, we would win 10, maybe 11 games versus 14 with Stafford. And I feel like it doesn't sound like a huge difference, but that's like number 1 seed to maybe 4 seed, 5 seed, like potentially. And can we make a run? Yeah, with this defense. It'll be like 2020. 2020, we were always in the game. It just in big moments where Stafford, 9 times out of 10, he's going to clutch up, right? Like we feel like, that last drive, Stafford got this. He'll throw 30, 40-yard bomb to Puka. He'll give a nice curl route to Devontae. The difference is Jimmy G in the last drive of that Seahawks game, he missed on fourth down. Like we didn't win that because he just doesn't have that clutch gene. Doesn't
But you
mean
looked
he's
at
not
him.
talented.
But then we did get to see him a little bit again last season, and I think he looked a little bit more electric in that final game. Was it even? It was against the 49ers, wasn't it? Or was
It
it the
was the
Seahawks?
Seattle.
The
That's
Seahawks.
what I'm talking
And
about.
and
He
he
did,
looked more
but he couldn't
electric
win the
than
game.
Stafford did.
That's different, though. Seattle at that point was gassed defensively at the end of the season. And then on top of that, we completely changed our offensive scheme for Jimmy. Not completely, but we changed parts of it to more fit the people starting in that game. So it wasn't anything we put on tape all year.
But that's okay. That's something new that we have to bring out. You can't obviously with Stafford, you're going to have a different game plan than if you're going to have Jimmy G. Jimmy G is not going to make those no-look passes, things like that. But you're also going to have a little bit of a different flavor with him, and something that I don't think you're going to be able. They're watching the tape on Stafford, and there's obviously unless you're watching 49er tape with Jimmy G, it's going to look different because this is a Sean McVay offense. And again, not saying that he's not a game manager. I think he is a game manager. But I think if you can keep the defense from, again, keep them under the 20 and you stay ahead most of the time, I think Jimmy G is going to win more than not.
Yeah, your run game has to be working if you want to do that. So that's going to be a critical thing.
And I think they have the chance. I mean, again, you go back and you look at last season, and you didn't have Cooper Kupp for the first half. Who was the only player making plays? Kyren Williams. The only person scoring touchdowns, Kyren Williams. It was that run game that was keeping that team alive for the first half of the season. And yes, did it decline afterwards? Yes. Did Kyren Williams make errors? Yes. But at that point, when he was making those fumble errors, he was already having way too many touches than he should have had. So again, if we can maintain what we have now and allow Kyren to rest and even bring somebody out for explosiveness, I really think that this team can function either with Stafford or with Jimmy G. Now, if you're telling me that I have to bring in Bennett or someone like Kirk Cousins who doesn't know the Sean McVay system and hasn't had time to interact with Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams and things like that, I do think that Jimmy G has that advantage over Kirk Cousins or anybody else that you bring in. And I wouldn't say that if it was just if it was another backup quarterback from any other team, I'd probably say get Kirk Cousins in here immediately. But you have Jimmy G, who was a starting quarterback, just like Kirk Cousins was a starting quarterback. I do believe that Jimmy G can help us more than any other backup quarterback can at this point.
I will say in defense of Kirk Cousins, Morris is over there. I'm assuming their offensive scheme is similar to ours. He was with Kevin O'Connell before that. I feel like transition wouldn't be as bad as other quarterbacks, but again, I don't think we're going to even look that direction unless if Stafford goes on IR. But
you look at those, and Chris O'Connell got rid of Kirk Cousins. You look at
I'm not saying it'd be good.
Morris, and he benched Kirk Cousins.
You told me who I would get, and I said someone who was realistic that you could get for cheap. I didn't say it would be good.
Well, I will say that if you guys come here for anything, you're going to come up with two mindsets of the opposite fan base. Even though we agree on a lot of things, what I think makes this podcast really good is we will have these conversations of why one over the other. And I think that is what we like to see here is every fan is different. And we like to try to bring in everybody's fan bases into kind of a conversation. So dude, I always appreciate talking with you, even though we don't always agree, but we always have a friendly conversation. And, there is one person who is typically optimistic and someone who's more pessimistic, but again, not calling out names at all.
Hey, I'm all with it. I love the melting pot of the Ramley. It's just the best fan base to ever exist. just the best.
I'm gonna have to have a preloaded photo to override your preloaded photo for this. But I was not prepared. I was not prepared today, but I will be prepared next time.
Fair enough. But yeah, man, I just love it because this fan base is so chaotic. When anything happens, it is melting down on Rams Twitter, on Rams social media. And I just love to have fun with it. But seriously, I try to be objective and I try to, I think the thing you can take from me and Zach are we're going to speak our minds regardless of whether what we think people think about it. Yep. So if you like that kind of analysis and that kind of fiery debate.
Yeah. One more thing. Did you hear that Matthew Stafford is now going to do a Sirius XM radio show?
I mean,
yes.
He's got to do something on IR.
I guess. Well, when you don't have Nine and Dime, your regular 9 and Dine episodes, the next thing to do is to go to Sirius XM. So, yes, Stafford is going to be doing a weekly show, the Let's Go show, with Jim Gray, Peter King, and Max Crosby. Yes, that Max Crosby from the Las Vegas Raiders. So apparently he's going to be talking all things Rams and everything else going on around the NFL. But yeah, just thought I had to put that in there as, he has back problems, but he signs a deal with XM Radio.
Got to pay for those epidurals somehow.
That's right. That's right. Well, hopefully we will have more people on in the future as far as guests. So keep a lookout for that. We are really excited on kind of the trajectory that we are going. We appreciate everybody who has come out and joined us on this week's episode of the East Coast Rams podcast. Whether you live on the East Coast, whether you live on the West Coast, we are all Ramley and we will support each other. Thank you for everyone who's watching us on X. This is probably one of the biggest live events that we have had on X, or with now just bringing X on board. But if you're on X, if you're watching us on YouTube, please make sure you go to youtube.com/@EastCoastRams or at East Coast Rams so that you can like and subscribe this podcast. Yeah, and then make sure you're following us on all of our other social medias, whether it's on X at East Coast Rams, whether that's on Instagram or Threads at East Coast Rams Pod, or check us out on Blue Sky. All right, Ashton, my man, my cohort, my co-host. Anything else you want to say before we wrap this episode up?
All positive vibes. All positive vibes. Stafford's going to play week 1. We're going to go 8-0. Going to go all the way to the Super Bowl.
Yep. Take that trailer that he has. That trailer that he has at the training facility that he's doing stuff in. Bring that with him wherever he goes. The cross country trek in a trailer, that would be fun to watch. Maybe that's something they could do on the Rams media stuff. So with that, we're going to wrap it up. We will see you guys. The Chargers are this week for preseason, so another SoFi event. When is that? Is that Saturday? Is that another Saturday game?
It is Saturday. I think it's Saturday at 7, but
7 p.m. Yes. So
that's right.
Boom. Yeah, you're right. Look at you. Was that Eastern? I think that's Eastern though. 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. We got to say that.
I would say, considering name of the podcast, people should guess that. But
yeah, but we also gotta go with where the majority of the fans are, which is the West Coast. Hopefully, Fill SoFi. Let's fill SoFi. Come on, guys. Let's do it. We're all in this together. Let's fill SoFi up. But with that, we will talk to you guys after the preseason game for week 2 against the Chargers. So we'll see you guys later, guys. Peace out.